Education Nutrition Services webinar discussing the 2018-19 administrative review process for school food authorities. My name is Shannon Wilkinson, and I am the Assistant Director of Nutrition Services. And along with me today, I have Brittany Speaker, one of our office's program specialists who's assigned to the National School Lunch Program. There are several documents that are attached in the chat box, and we have as a copy of the presentation for today. We have a checklist that's on there and some security instructions on how to access the CNP system. So we'll get to all of that information today, but I wanted to point that out in case you wanted to download them right now. I also wanted to let everybody know that you've been placed on mute just to prevent the background noise and some of the feedback that can come from having computers on and phones in the background. But if you have any questions, please type them into the chat box, and we'll try to answer all of them as we get through the presentation. Oops, let's see here. There we go. So many of you here today may have experienced the USDA's National School Lunch Programs Administrative Review, which we also call the AR. Today's information will be a great refresher for you, but for those of you who are new to this process, please have no fear. We are going to help ensure you have the tools and resources to prepare for this process. So today we're just going to do a high-level overview of the administrative review just to help improve your sense of confidence in the AR process. We're going to demonstrate how to use the online CNP's AR compliance module. So you may be asking yourself, what is the AR? Well, according to the Healthy Hunger-Free Kids Act of 2010, it's the accountability system that was designed to ensure participating SFAs comply with the National School Lunch Program and the School Breakfast Program requirements. This act requires that all SFAs undergo an AR one time during a 3-year cycle. Currently, Nutrition Services is in the 3rd year of the 2nd cycle. First and foremost, the AR exists because it's in response to the requirements outlined in the Healthy Hunger-Free Kids Act of 2010. It is a review process that is conducted by NDE Nutrition Services to help SFAs understand and implement the federal regulations and policies that are required under the School Breakfast Program, the School Lunch Program, and all of the additional ancillary programs. It also provides our agency the opportunity to provide one-on-one support, and it helps us to assist you guys with how to participate in the school lunch program. So we have two groups of us who conduct the administrative reviews in the state of Nebraska. So NDE Nutrition Services conducts the majority of the ARs each school year, and we have a team of 8 program specialists on staff, 7 of whom represent the central and the eastern regions of Nebraska, and then we also have a designated program specialist representing the western region of the state. The Nutrition Services team is made up of members with experience that ranges from 1 to more than 30 years working in the National School Lunch Program. Their expertise and their knowledge will help you not only through this AR process, but whenever you need assistance or help with your school meals program and operation. All of the SFAs that were invited to participate in this webinar will have an AR conducted by NDE Nutrition Program staff. So for our office, they're going to come out to you guys. But we also wanted to mention that Nutrition Services experienced just limited staffing resources in the 2015-16 school year, just due to the increased demands of the AR requirements and still wanting to ensure that all the SFAs are being provided a quality AR. Nutrition Services decided to contract ARs to a third-party company, which some of you may have worked with during that school year. But in school year 16-17, Nutrition Services began contracting with a new third-party company, and they're called TCB Consulting, and they conducted the ARs and also the new procurement review. We're also getting ready to enter our 3rd year with TCB. They've done a really fantastic job conducting both the administrative review and the procurement review. And the SFA surveys that we've gotten back from them have consistently had high ratings for companies' performance with the AR. Sorry about that. I saw a chat that I was a little bit confused about. So the programs that are going to be reviewed, as you already know, the AR is conducted to evaluate the National School Lunch Program. But underneath the National School Lunch Program are ancillary programs that will also need to be reviewed if your school participates in them. So these programs include the school breakfast program, the special milk program, and the after-school service snack program. Also, if your school was awarded grant funds for the 2019 Fresh Fruit and Vegetable Program, let me back up. So if you've received FFVP grant dollars, we'll also review that piece of the process too. And for those of you who are unfamiliar with the Fresh Fruit and Vegetable Program, it's a competitive grant award program offered to schools where 50% or more of their enrolled students are eligible for free and reduced price meals. Okay. So the entire administrative review process will take approximately 2 to 3 months to complete from the very beginning until the very end when you receive your closing letter. But the timeline will ultimately depend on how frequently you're in communication with your assigned program specialist and how efficiently the review requirements are completed, because there's quite a bit of work that needs to be done, but the closer you work with your specialist, just the smoother the process goes. So about 4 to 6 weeks prior to the on-site assessment, your program specialist will contact you to get first of all, to get the process started, but also to determine a date when they need to come on site. This initial contact, the program specialist will go over like all the nitty-gritty, all the very fine details that you need to complete the process for the off-site assessment. We'll talk about that here in a second. Then about 2 weeks before the on-site assessment takes place, your program specialist will ensure that all of your off-site assessment components are completed. And having those off-site assessment components completed just helps facilitate the on-site assessment, and it helps it go a little bit more smoothly. So once the day of the review arrives, when the program specialist comes on site, they're going to do a variety of stuff. But this is the time where they're going to observe your meal service and review all the documentation that they asked you to collect prior to the on-site assessment. And then after the day of review has come to an end, the girls have come out, they've watched your meal service for breakfast and lunch, maybe even after school snack program or FFVP, they're going to provide your school with a summary of all of the AR stuff that they've collected. This will include things like the commendations of the work that you're doing, areas where you may need corrective action plans, or areas that could require fiscal action. And then after you receive the summary of the AR if necessary, your school has 30 days to submit a response to findings, which could include corrective action, and you would just send that back to your program specialist. And after your responses and corrective action plans are accepted by the program specialist, you receive a closing letter that indicates that the AR is complete. So a lot of components, but it's really pretty as easy as that. Just as long as you're actively communicating with your program specialist, things should go really smoothly. So real quickly, I want to take a walk through the off-site assessment and the on-site assessment in just a bit more detail. So for SFAs that have more than one building where students are fed, the nutrition program specialist has to determine which of these sites are required to be reviewed. And they will do this before their initial contact with you. So that's one of the pieces that they'll talk to you about once they give you a call. And then what they'll do is they'll use that site selection criteria that you see outlined on this slide. And although this list isn't an exhaustive list of the reasons that they choose for a site, it is the most common criteria that we use when selecting a site. And then for those of you who have a K-12 building where all of your students are fed at a single kitchen, this will clearly be the site that we end up reviewing. So the off-site assessment is a review tool that nutrition services program specialists use to gain a better understanding of how your school meals program operates before they come on site to conduct the on-site assessment. This piece of the review is going to be completed by your school, the off-site assessment, and we're actually going to have you do this on an online system. And we'll go over that in just a little bit. But collecting the off-site assessment is newer for nutrition services, and it may be a new process for you as well. As you're working through the off-site assessment, your program specialist, they'll help you navigate any questions that seem confusing or anything that you need help with. But completing the off-site assessment before the specialist comes out on site is critical. So whether you need their help or you want to do it on your own, it just helps decrease the amount of time that you guys will be doing when the specialist comes on site. In most schools where more than one individual is working the school meals program, like if you have kitchen staff, you have office staff, sometimes you have school administrators that are all working in the school meal program, it is important that you guys work together just to make sure you get the necessary components completed. It is definitely a team effort. And as you're working through this, if you have any help, please contact your assigned program specialist in case you have any needs. So this is just a screenshot of what the CNP Systems AR module looks like, and we'll actually bring up the live site in a second to show you what it means. But this is all the questions that you've been asked in the past on paper. It's all going to be held into this space here. So in the review sections that you're going to have to complete are the series that are in the red box. They're from the 100 series to the 1600 series. However, some of these sections may not be applicable to your school. So again, your specialist will inform you which sections you don't need to complete. And based on your responses to those sections that are in the red box, you may also need to complete the yellow section, which the RMCR stands for oh my goodness, Resource Management Comprehensive Review. Oh my goodness. It's a mouthful for such small letters there. And then in green there, you see the other federal programs. So this is the line for those ancillary programs that we mentioned previously, like the after school snack program, the special milk program, and the fresh fruit and vegetable program. Additionally, the site assessment, circled in blue, must also be completed before submitting the off-site assessment to NDE. And so as you can see, because the layout of this screen, it's kind of easy for this section to get missed. So you may want to consider completing this section first before all of the other components of the off-site assessment, just so it helps you remember. But again, your assigned program specialist will help walk you through these questions if you have any needs or you just need any assistance at all. That's what we're here to do. We'll help get you through some of these questions. So while you're completing the off-site assessment, your assigned program specialist will be communicating with you on what documentation and information will be necessary for them to have once they're on site. So on the day of review, when the program specialist comes out to your school, they will check in at the front office, and the program specialist will then open the day with what we call an entrance conference. And this is where they're going to introduce themselves and touch base with the authorized representative, with the school food service director, with the claim contact. And then as a group, you're going to discuss kind of what's going to happen throughout the day, what the timelines are going to look like, and then before you disperse and work gets started, there's going to be a time that's determined for the exit conference, so that program specialist will be able to have an opportunity to close everything up. And if your superintendent is involved, then the superintendent will be able to have that meeting time on their calendar. So the on-site assessment will take a full workday to complete. So please ensure that the food service director and any other necessary staff are accessible and are available for on-site, that they're there on-site for the full day. Once you've reached the end of that day, the program specialist, again, the authorized representative, the food service director, the claim contact, you guys will all sit down for a meeting to discuss what the program specialist has reviewed and observed during the entire administrative review process. They'll discuss any issues, if anything has arisen, I apologize, or if there's any concerns that have presented themselves. And if there's anything that needs additional attention, your program specialist may even determine that another day of review is necessary, and they'll talk with you about that at that time. One thing I wanted to note was that if your school's authorized representative isn't a school administrator like your superintendent or a principal, we just ask that you invite them to come to the opening of the day, the entrance conference, and then also for the exit conference. This just ensures that that person who is ultimately responsible for managing the National School Lunch Program funds is just aware of the review and the stuff that's been going on and the review outcomes. So as I had mentioned earlier in the chat box, there's an attachment. It's an administrative review checklist. And this is just going to help you better prepare for the AR. So we've created this for you, just kind of a quick check sheet. And this is just, you can see the image up there is a copy of that. Your assigned program specialist may also provide you a copy before they come out. They may email it to you. But the checklist may be beneficial for you to work through as you prepare. It outlines all the documents that the specialist will need to look at when they come out to do the on-site assessment portion of the administrative review. And each topic is broken out into different sections, and they're color-coded to help with that organization. Some of the documents on this list may be asked for ahead of time before, like along with the off-site assessment, just to help, streamline that process when they come out on site. So the on-site assessment will utilize the information that schools have reported through the off-site assessment to determine what areas of the school meal programs need specific attention and technical assistance. For the on-site assessment review, the program specialist will evaluate 4 sections. And these 4 sections include the meal access and reimbursement, the quality of meals and the meal pattern, resource management, and then the other general program and compliance areas. These 2 sections in red can result in fiscal action if the SFA is not appropriately complying with regulations. And then these 2 sections in blue, although they don't result in immediate fiscal action, however, non-compliance or repeat violations could initiate what we call a fiscal consequence. So for example, the meals that have been submitted for claim reimbursement, we would hold those and not pay them until after the school comes into compliance, rather than taking money away, if that makes sense. So when Nutrition Services Program Specialists review meal access and reimbursement sections, the specialist is ensuring that students have been assigned the correct meal benefits. The program specialist will verify the list of students who are assigned free and reduced price meal benefits through the direct certification process and also from household meal applications. They'll assess your school's procedures for processing household meal applications and direct certification. The program specialist will review your procedures for conducting the verification process, which should be in process right now. The verification is the annual process the SFAs use to confirm students' eligibility for free and reduced price meals that was certified through a household meal application. And then finally, in this section, the program specialist will review how you count and claim student meals, get a better understanding of the point of service system that you have, determine the method of counting is if it's manual or electronic, and examine documentation that supports the claims for reimbursement that have been entered into the CNP claim system. This section also ensures that you have a current meal charge policy that has been communicated to households. Your program specialist must evaluate the school lunch and/or the school meal or the school breakfast program's nutritional quality. And because the meal pattern is the foundation of the school meals program, the program specialist must ensure that reimbursable meals are meeting the meal component requirements. With this section of the AR, the program specialist will observe the meal service lines and the point of service to ensure that students are being offered the necessary meal components for reimbursable meal and that the amount of food being served to students is appropriately following regulation guidance. And then offer versus serve is a provision in the school lunch and breakfast programs that allows students to decline some of the food components being offered, giving students control over the food they consume. Just so this may help reduce plate waste, it can improve students' perception of the program, So while the program specialist ensures the appropriate meal components and quantities are being offered, they also have to ensure that students are not being forced to take any specific food items. And although nutrition services is no longer required to conduct a nutrient analysis on specific amounts of nutrients that are being provided to student meals, the program specialist will look over menus, production records, recipes, etc., just to see how that meal items contribute to the meal pattern in the menu. The resource management section of the AR is to monitor and ensure the overall financial health of the SFA's nonprofit school food service account and to ensure that it's in good standing. From the off-site assessment review, the nutrition services program specialist will determine if the resource management comprehensive review is necessary. And if so, they'll follow up with additional assessment questions just to help understand how you are managing the nonprofit school food service account. They'll ensure that expenses from the nonprofit school food service account are allowable. They'll review the revenue from the non-program foods, like if you have a la carte or if you serve adult meals. They'll ensure that fair and consistent methods are used when allocating indirect costs to the nonprofit school food service account, if applicable. And then they'll also review the paid lunch equity requirements for pricing for paid lunches. So this slide lists the general programs that will be reviewed by the nutrition services specialists. As mentioned on a previous slide, these areas are not subject to fiscal action but could result in fiscal consequence if the SFA is not compliant. The nutrition services website under the school lunch program does have tools and resources if you need any guidance in these areas. Just in addition to having access to your assigned program specialist for assistance will be helpful as well. Okay, so once all of those sections are reviewed and any necessary responses or corrective action plans are corrected and approved, that's it. You'll receive a closing letter from your nutrition services program specialist and you're good to go. So as long as, you know, your school keeps in timely contact with your program specialist, the AR, I promise, will feel like it's completed in what seems like no time. All right, so this, the assessment questions in the CNP system is new. So we'd like to take a few moments just to kind of walk through this and kind of give you an idea of what it looks like. So many of you may already be familiar with the CNP system. This is the system where you submit your annual application to participate in the school meals program, and it's also where monthly meals are submitted. Nutrition Services has had this AR module for quite some time, but hadn't taken the full advantage of the system's functionality. And so as feedback we received from the USDA's regional office visit to our office this summer, all of the program specialists will be working with you in this system. So I just want to remind you guys that, you know, it's brand new to us for us to fully be working through it, and it may be new for you. So we're maybe working out some kinks as we're working through it, but no worries, it's going to be good. We have some veteran experts on our staff who have been using the system, so hopefully that will help. But the reason we're doing the electronic form is because it allows you to enter all the required off-site information and answer all the questions that are necessary so that your program specialist knows how to best assist you while you're participating in the school meals program. In this system, you're going to be able to view everything that's uploaded, all the questions that are answered. You'll also be able to view what your program specialist responses are to the on-site assessment. So this electronic system is just a more robust way for nutrition services to collect and save the AR information and documentation. So I'm going to hand this over to Brittany, and she's going to give us a walkthrough of the system.
Good afternoon, everyone. I am so glad you're here. I'm excited to work with you all. I'm going to go ahead and pull up the CNP system online. And as you already know, you can access the CNP system at nutrition.education.ne.gov. And it will bring you to the login page. And this is where you use your username and our username ID and then your password to log in. So I'll go ahead and log in here. And this gets you into our online CNP system. So when we're going to look at our online compliance module, you'll come up here to this blue bar and click compliance. Now, in order to click compliance, you will have to have access to this module. All of the authorized representatives that will be participating in the school year 2019 AR already have access to the CNP System's AR compliance module. We have attached instructions in the chat box on how to provide access to other staff that may also need access to the CNP's system AR compliance module. If there are any questions you have, please reach out to your assigned nutrition services program specialist, and I will show you where you can find who that is in just a moment. So your screen looks a little bit different. It won't pop up this screen for you. Our test school is going to be registration. So when you click compliance, you will see this screen, similar something to this screen. You'll go ahead and click details next to the current review year, which is school year 18-19. You can see that right here. And then right here under lead reviewer, you will see who your program specialist that you will be working with. For this example, I have my name in there. So we'll go ahead and click details. And it will bring up the review dashboard. This is where you will be working to help us get the off-site assessment completed. So on this top left-hand, upper left-hand side, you will see your school's information. So you'll see your school's name, your address, and your agreement number up here. On this right side is a little bit of an overview of where your AR process is. It'll tell you your review year, when your AR was opened, essentially, what date the program specialist came out to do your on-site assessment, and when the close date was. Under review progress, this is another way to look at how your AR is going. Under scheduled, it will turn green once your review has been scheduled. Once the off-site assessment is completed, this will turn green, and so on and so forth. When the on-site, the corrective action, and when the AR is closed, they will continually turn green as the process moves forward. Under review details here, you will see again who your lead reviewer is. This will be the person you will be in contact with throughout the entire process. When we scroll down here a little bit further, we'll see this section called Review Tools. Now, under this, we have several different sections that you can click on and look through. The main sections that you will have to keep in mind are the Review Forms section, the Corrective Action Documents section, Commendations, Technical Assistance, and Review Attachments. And we will briefly go through each of these. So first, let's go into Review Forms. This will bring up another site for you. This is where you will complete your off-site assessment. And you can see that it is labeled off-site assessment right here. And there are 17 sections within this assessment. Now, when your program specialist contacts you, she will be, as Shannon said, telling you to complete sections 100 through 1600. Now, if there aren't applicable sections to be completed, you will be notified of that. And then in order to get in to do that section, complete the questions, you will click Modify. And then this will take you into the section to complete those corresponding questions. Once you've completed those questions, you can scroll to the bottom and you will click Validate or Save, okay? And then Finish. As you're going through this process, you will see the status of each of those sections. So there are different labels for where you are with each of those sections. The first one you might see is not applicable. You can see this one down here over next to other federal programs. In this scenario, this school does not have any programs such as the fresh fruit and vegetable program, special milk, etc. So I went ahead and labeled it as not applicable to give you an idea that you do not even need to go into that section. The next label you might see is not started, which you can see next to meal counting and claiming here. That means that you have not gone in there to start the process on those questions. You may also see one labeled incomplete. That just means that you have started filling it out, but you have not quite yet finished it. You may also see error, which there are two up here because I just opened up them both. This means that there are one or more items in that section that needs to be fixed on that page. You may also see pending review. We can see that one down here on Smart Snacks. That means that you have completed it. I just, as a program specialist, need to go in there and look at it. Once I go in and review that, I will change it to a status called review, saying that I have looked at it and maybe I am following up with you on a few questions that I saw in that section. And then the next status and last status that you might see is completed. And we can see that next to this section, SFA on-site monitoring. It has been completed. I have reviewed it and am ready to go on site for that section. We can also see that we have sites down here. Again, do not forget to complete this section. There are questions. So if you click on detail, it'll take you to 4 more sections that you will potentially 2 to 4 more sections depending on whether you have breakfast or not. And this is just covering the dietary specifications for your meal. We'll go back. Now the bottom half of this page is information that your program specialist will complete. You will be able to see it, but you won't be able to edit anything in it. This is nothing you have to worry about. This is the information the program specialist will complete when they come out on site. So that's a general overview of how you complete the offsite. We're going to go ahead and go back to the dashboard, and you can do that by clicking dashboard up here in the blue panel. And now we'll go ahead and look at our corrective action documents. We'll go ahead and click modify. So in this scenario, this school has one corrective action they need to complete, and that is with the non-discrimination statement. So they need to update their non-discrimination statement in their student handbook. So in this case, you can go ahead and click modify, and then you can upload any responses. So you can upload your new updated student handbook here, and you can put a comment in with anything you want to explain. And once you do that, your program specialist can go ahead, review that information, and go from there, and either submit for acceptance, and then maybe they need to follow up with you on a few things too, and they'll work with you on that. So we're going to go back out to the dashboard again. You can also go in to see any commendations your program specialist has left for you. Just little notes that maybe something you did really good. For this case, we see that the SFA used the verification tracker form, and we're just letting you know that that's great that you were using that. And we want to encourage you to keep doing those good things in your program. You can also see any technical assistance that your specialist has given you by going in here, and you can see exactly what section it was and what they advised you on. And then lastly, we have the review attachment section. Go ahead and click detail. And this is where you upload any attachments that the program specialist may ask for you ahead of time. such as your meal pattern check worksheets, your student upload, student enrollment for free and reduced price students. And your program specialist will tell you exactly what documents you need to upload. And the offsite assessment will also ask for certain uploads, so go ahead, follow those instructions as they come up. Now, if you have questions on how to do that or have questions on what it's asking for, please reach out to your program specialist. She will be more than happy to help walk you through that. And that's just a general overview of the compliance module in the CNP system. Again, don't be afraid to ask any questions.
That's great. And the other reason too, I think that we decided to start doing things in the AR module is because we recognize that as food service directors are retiring, it seems like everyone's kind of mass exiting out of here, that there's a lot of history and there's a lot of knowledge that's going on, and this is an easy way for not only us to capture all the information, but also too, if you have someone who is going to be coming in behind you to take over your place, that all of the information that's necessary is going to be right here in this CNP system. So it's just something that we thought we would try, and we'd really appreciate your feedback too as you're working through it, because that helps us do things a little bit better. Let me bring this back here. Okay. I see a couple of comments in the chat box. I just wanted to let you know that the attachments that we put out are the very first things in the chat box, so you may need to scroll to the very top using that cursor to see them. I'm going to do it right now to make sure that they're there, and they are there. There are 3 PDFs. And the other piece too, if you can't see them for whatever reason in the chat box, we will post them out on our website along with the presentation so that you will have them. Oops. Here we go. All right. So it's our responsibility as NDE Nutrition Services to ensure that you have the tools and the resources that you need as you're participating in the school lunch program. We want it to be a successful operation, so we're available to help whenever you need it. Whether again it's regarding the AR or just anything that you need, we're here for you. Our nutrition services website is full of lots of information for you to access if you're searching for something specific. And in regards to the administrative review, we have outlined all of the AR sections with links that will directly connect you to the different components in that section. And so the website is up there for you. Also, too, if you download the PDF, you should be able to click on that hyperlink and it should open up our website. In theory, it should have worked that way, but I didn't test it out. But also, too, Team Nutrition created another AR prep module in Moodle that you can access to view to just continue to help you prepare for this year's administrative review. And to access this AR Prep Moodle training and any other nutrition-based training, you can create a free account to log in, and this website, this link here will take you to Moodle. You can create a login, and then you can track all the trainings that you've done, but also too, you can just log in as a guest and be able to access any of the trainings that's out there. So it's about an hour-long presentation, but it does break down the administrative review in a bit more detail if you're interested in viewing that. We also wanted to provide you a slide with all of our nutrition services staff on here. You can also get this information from our contacts page on the nutrition services website. Like Brittany showed you in the compliance module, you'll be able to see which program specialist is assigned to your school for this review. Some of you may actually have already been contacted by a program specialist and have your on-site date in the system. They'll already be working with you on the off-site stuff. So we've got some people out there who are already getting stuff done. So if you have any questions, you have phone numbers, you have an email address. You know, the staff travel an awful lot. So email may be one of the better ways to get a hold of them, because while they're out of the office, they will be able to check emails, but they'll be able to track things a little bit more efficiently. If you have any questions in general, we have our direct line here. You can contact me, Shannon Wilkinson, if you have any questions. If you can't get a hold of the staff, I'm in the office much more frequently. But I just want to thank you for participating in this webinar. I didn't see any questions that were listed down here. Maybe I do. I don't see anything, but if you have any specific questions, we could take a couple minutes to answer them. But if not, you have our phone numbers, you have our email addresses, and so we are looking forward to seeing you this year. Okay, I don't see anybody typing. So thank you again for joining. Take care, everyone.